Hi, my name is Brianne Hildenbrand, and today I will be telling you about GW Pharmaceuticals. So GW Pharmaceuticals is a biomedical company that was established in 1998. It's when they began running their first clinical studies. The founders are Dr. Jeffrey Guy and Dr. Brian Whittle. And I'll tell you a little bit about these two men. Dr. Jeffrey Guy has over 30 years experience in medical research and development. He has been the physician in charge of over 300 clinical studies and previously founded Phytopharm along with co-founder of GW Pharmaceuticals, Brian Whittle. And Brian Whittle has over 40 years experience in the pharmaceutical industry and is a specialist in plant-based medicine. Unfortunately, he passed away this past April. So, GW Pharmaceuticals is located in Cambridge, England, and they have become a global leader in cannabinoid medications. They recently were named one of the 50 genius companies by Times, which just goes to show how renowned this company has become just recently. They only have a couple medications right now, and they are Sativex and Epidiolex. And I am going to start telling you a little bit about, we'll start with Sativex. Sativex is the first medicine that they developed. It is not approved in the United States, but it is approved in 22 other countries. This drug includes both THC and CBD from the cannabis plant, and it is an oral spray that treats MS. Specifically, it treats muscle spasticity in patients who are suffering from MS. Now, GW Pharmaceuticals has 3 growing facilities that they have in the UK. And what they do is grow a hybrid form of cannabis that they have extracted the agents that cause a psychotropic high and have left the properties that have beneficial medical treatments for numerous syndromes. So, Sativex was approved in 2005, and it was approved first in Canada, and it became the first drug made from cannabis to go on sale anywhere in the world. It was then approved in the UK in 2010, and since then it has become has brought in most of their revenue in sales, and that is up until just recently when Epidiolex got approved, and this was approved last year, so it's basically brand new in the medical world. It is a brand new company. It went on sale in the United States November 1st, so just a few months it's been on sales. Their estimated sales in the future are in the millions of dollars. The highest report says that it could bring in over $1 billion in revenue for GW Pharmaceuticals. And that is because Epidiolex treats a couple of very rare epileptic syndromes that affect children. And it is also the first approved drug for Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. And Lennox-Gastaut syndrome is a drug-resistant syndrome that affects between 14,000 and 18,000 children under the age of 18 in the United States. So, becoming the first drug to treat that is huge. It's going to help the quality of life for these thousands of kids who have otherwise had no treatment at all. Epidiolex also treats Dravet syndrome. And Dravet syndrome occurs in the first year of life, and This prognosis for this disease is especially poor. About 14% of people who are diagnosed with Dravet syndrome die. So, reducing seizures, these are both epileptic syndromes, and Epidiolex is reducing seizures by 39% in both of these syndromes. So, it's giving these kids a better quality of life when otherwise there was no other treatment. So GW Pharmaceuticals has successfully found a way to discover 2 drugs that are doing something that has never been done before. There's a huge market for these drugs, and there are other illnesses that are currently being researched and are in several different phases of clinical studies. For Epidiolex in particular, they are looking at treating another illness called tuberous sclerosis. And this one affects about 50,000 people in the United States. Again, is epilepsy is the main symptom. And about 70% of those people experience seizures in their first year of life, so infants. And treatment, Epidiolex is in its phase 3 for treating what is called tuberous sclerosis. Another syndrome that Epidiolex is in phase 3 of for treatment is called Rett syndrome. And this one is early onset from between 6 to 18 months of life. No approved treatment for this illness as well. So again, a huge market for Rett syndrome. And Rett syndrome causes loss of hand skills, loss of speaking, breathing problems, cardiac problems, microcephaly, and autistic-like behavior. So, again, no treatment for that as of right now. And GW Pharmaceuticals is working on getting Epidiolex approved to treat that syndrome. So, to recap, Sativex and Epidiolex. Sativex is the first drug approved anywhere in the world derived from cannabis. Epidiolex is the first cannabis-approved drug in the United States by the FDA, and treats Lennox-Gastaut and Dravet syndromes. Brand new, brought in their first quarter. GW Pharmaceuticals literally just released their financial statement for this quarter. Between November 1st and December 31st, Epidiolex brought in $4.7 million in revenue, and it's not bad. It is actually more than what was expected. So, moving along, we are going to talk a little bit about sales, and all the numbers that are going to be found on GW Pharmaceuticals. Have to remember, these are before Epidiolex was approved. This is basically just their Sativex numbers. And they've been really low. Revenue has not been that high. Sativex is a relatively low, treating a low number of people. And so revenue in 2017 was $11 million. Again, that's just revenue. Sales were quite a bit higher. And find the number here. I want to give you a specific number. Well, so I can't find the specific number for their sales, but I do know that their revenue has been they've been reporting a loss. They've had a lot of issues with making money. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that they are spending millions and millions of dollars each year on research and development. They are discovering new drugs, which is not cheap. In 2018, they spent $153 million just on research and development alone. So their total revenue in thousands here in 2018 was $12,737. So that is a number, again, very, very low. A Pedialex is expected to come along, and again, the highest estimates are to bring in $1 billion. So it's a game changer for GW Pharmaceuticals. And they have actually priced that drug at $32,500 a year, Pedialex, which is comparable to other drugs that treat epileptic diseases. So instead of, they could really jack the prices up. They are keeping them low, keeping them, 4 out of 5 major U.S. payers have agreed to pay for a Pedialex. So the out-of-pocket price is still going to be extremely low for people who suffer from Dravet and Lennox-Gastaut syndromes. And moving along to shares in stock. So GW Pharmaceuticals, there have been tons of articles being written about them. Recently, they have been issued a buy rating by 13 rating firms that cover the company. And large investors such as Jennison Associates, Canada Pension Plan have raised their stocks on them. The outlook for GW Pharmaceuticals is nothing but positive. So that is very promising. GW Pharmaceuticals is also working on ways to use the effective properties of the cannabis plant in other ways, such as treating Rett syndrome, atrial septal defect, glioblastoma multiforme, schizophrenia, and tuberous sclerosis. And those are in various phases and trials, as mentioned earlier. So, the strengths that I have found for GW Pharmaceuticals is their future is very promising. They have nowhere but up to go. With the Pedialex being brand new and already beating expectations, their future is very, very bright. There's also no direct competition. There are other companies who treat epilepsy, but there are no other cannabis-based companies that treat epilepsy at the moment, and there are no other companies that effectively treat the two syndromes I mentioned earlier, Dravet and Lennox-Gastaut. So that market alone belongs to GW Pharmaceuticals. There are a couple of companies, including Insys Therapeutics, that has publicly stated their intent to develop CBD for infantile spasms. So that would be if they could get that approval and get a drug made for that. That would be some competition for GW. Zogenix has developed medicine for Dravet syndrome, and that is in stage 3. So again, as of right now, no other medicines. That one's getting very close, but no competition yet. And another company called Zynerba Pharmacy is developing a topical form of CBD to treat illnesses. GW Pharmaceuticals currently has 10 successful patents for their 2 medications. Again, just no competition. Nobody else can do what they can. It's a world-renowned company. They have gained much respect in the medical world, and those are their strengths that are small, but at the same time small in number but huge. Their weaknesses. They have just recently gained approval for both of their medicines are relatively new, especially Pedialyte, brand new. So just the fact that it's such a new company, no one really knows what to expect. There's no comparison. There's nothing to say, okay, well, this company did this and failed, so we won't do that. They don't have that. It's going to be trial and error for GW Pharmaceuticals, and they've already had a lot of setbacks in the past. They had a failed trial for Sativex for treatment of cancer pain, and after that failed trial, stocks really, really were lowered for the company. They spend millions of dollars on these clinical studies, and then when they don't meet their endpoint, it's very costly. And that is a huge weakness. Another weakness is the taboos regarding marijuana. I believe in our day and age, it's becoming less of a taboo. It's becoming more accepted. Medical marijuana is, very common. Recreational marijuana is very common. But in the medical world, it is such a new idea. It is such in 2010, the first drug was approved to treat. It's brand new. GW Pharmaceuticals is the first and only company that has found effective ways to use it. So that's the strength, and the newness is their weakness. So a couple of recommendations I have for GW Pharmaceuticals is to continue the research and development. It is very costly, but they are helping thousands of children who are suffering. They are helping children who otherwise have no treatment, who have really no hope. So, of course, research and development, if they can continue to find ways to effectively treat other illnesses, which they are currently working on, just work towards that. Finding different ways. If cannabis can treat epilepsy, what else? What else can it treat? I would recommend that GW Pharmaceuticals continue to work on getting Sativex approved in the United States, which they have mentioned they are currently working with the FDA to see what would be the best way to go about doing that. So they are currently doing that as well. And I would also recommend that GW Pharmaceuticals keeps their prices low. Nobody wants to see a company become greedy. We all remember whenever the founder of that AIDS treatment jacked their prices up, and instantly, that man had a terrible reputation. GW Pharmaceuticals needs to continue to help people at a relatively low cost, especially since these are children. Yeah, they look like they have a great future. They're doing wonderful things for children who are suffering, and they are a very groundbreaking, very innovative company that, as long as they continue on that path, will be very successful. Thank you.